Welcome into the PHLY Phillies postgame show podcast presented by Bet365. Brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. It is awesome. I've been using it. Highly encourage everybody to dive on in. Welcome into the postgame show. As it looks like jinx-free statement, Tyler, Renee, that the Phillies are on the verge of winning a series.
Say that again?
I'm not.
Say it again?
Did I cut out? The Phillies are on the verge of winning a series.
Wow, guys. It's happening. It feels like it's been forever, but we're back. I don't want to say that they're about on the verge of winning the series because I don't want to jinx it because it's been one of those.
I said it was jinx-free. It can't be a jinx when I say that.
Okay, that's fair. That's super fair. I'm thrilled to see the Phillies feel like they're back. I tweeted this out a little while ago. Like, the Phillies are back. It feels like this is the breakthrough. They've won 2 of the last 3 games. Tonight would make win number 3. It would be their first series win after dropping the last 7. Like, they're back. Let's get irrational.
Yeah, it is fun. It kind of feels a little bit like that. I mean, this is a big series win. I don't want to downplay it, especially after dropping the first one. Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber are just kind of men possessed right now. Tyler Phillips really battled for you tonight a little bit. And some weird things. We'll get into the play at third that kind of changed the game. Johan Rojas having a terrific evening. So a lot of things went the Phillies' way finally. Maybe that call at third base, which we'll talk about more in detail later, was some payback for all the terrible calls behind the plate over the last 3 weeks.
That's honestly what I think had me most convinced that the Phillies are back, because you start to see tonight, them getting some of those
morning,
tomorrow.
We're in the future, Renee.
You started seeing the Phillies getting those lucky bounces and calls, and even with the defensive mistakes and errors, which again I know we'll get into. Don't want to jump ahead. Even with some like mistimed plays in the field, they got the calls, they got the challenges, they got things to fall their way, and that's something we haven't been seeing from the Phillies. It's been difficult for them to be able to make plays down the stretch. It's been an inning here and there, and now to see them having consistent offense, responding, getting the calls to fall their way, it feels like the Phillies are back. These are the types of things that we saw in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
They survived some fluky stuff today, too. I mean, if you think about it, like so far through now, we're going on 8 innings. The Austin Hayes play, the Brandon Marsh play, Austin Hayes, exiting the game early in this one with an apparent hamstring issue.
Yeah, that's not good.
They survived some fluky stuff today. And today felt like a complete baseball game, because the leadoff home run by Schwarber is significant, because obviously it gets your offense going, it gets you rolling. Anytime Schwarber hits a leadoff home run, there's a little bit of a jolt of electricity with the offense. Tyler Phillips' stuff didn't play well today, but after giving up the runs in the first inning and then the second inning, I think he did a really nice job of settling in. They chipped away. They played what felt like, or they have played what felt like a playoff caliber game today. Like, this offense chipped away, got one back, then Schwarber drives in 17 today. But the double down the line,
Dodgers.
The double down the line was huge. The home run later, obviously, even bigger. But this felt to me like the complete team that we watched early in the season. The team that was just rattling off series victory after series victory after series victory. And they did it in a way today where they got up, they went down, they battled, they took control, they took the reins in this one. And once Phillips settled in, the bullpen's been sharp so far. Kerkering was good. Alvarado was good. Now you're going to turn to Strom. You feel like this was a complete baseball win against, yes, a team that is still banged up. They do still have a handful of injuries, but a really good baseball team nonetheless.
Yeah, I think the reason it feels different for me is what you just said. The fact that they were able to come back, going up, going down, and then coming back. It does feel like it's a little bit different than some of the other series wins, or excuse me, just wins, because there haven't been many series wins, but just the wins they've been getting recently. It does feel a little different. And Kyle Schwarber is a man possessed, and we'll talk in depth about his night, but he is now 2 home runs away from tying the MLB record for leadoff home runs in a season, which is 13, held by, I'll give you guys the year, 2003. If you can get this, I'd be impressed. But it's not like a shocking leadoff home run guy by any means.
See, my initial guess was before you gave me the year, was gonna be Ricky Henderson. So obviously that is out.
I don't know. Ricky could have still been playing in 2003 somewhere. Guy played like 43 years in the league.
Lead off home run leader.
Played in 2 major market cities. For most of he's known for most of his career.
New York and
New York is one.
Boston.
Not Boston. I may have visited the city this summer.
Chicago.
Chi-town.
New York and Chicago.
A often forgotten about crazy power hitter for like 3-4 year stretch. And,
was it
pretty consistent otherwise?
No, see, it's a little. I think you might have stumped me here. I'm gonna be thinking about this one.
Tyler, what?
I stumped the nerd research department.
No. Is it Alfonso Soriano?
Ding, ding, ding.
Ah, dang it! I thought we had him. I thought the late night.
So Kyle Schwarber with 3 more leadoff home runs this year can break the all-time MLB record. So that's pretty cool. Kyle Schwarber has been steady. Him and Nick Castellanos have been the 2 guys with JT and Bryce and Trey hitting the skids that have really kept fighting and kept this team a little bit afloat. So it was good to see Schwarber just tear the cover off the ball and blow this one open and, kind of give everybody that sense of a deep breath.
And honestly, thank goodness for them, because they allowed us to have the offense have something to look forward to. Because to your point, Tyler, it hasn't been a pretty game. This isn't a perfect game that the Phillies are turning a corner and coming out of the slump and everything's been going their way. This has been just kind of them battling. They're battling out this game. Tyler Phillips battled. He gave up 4 runs. He could have easily gotten shaken. He battles. Nick Castellanos battling a couple of doubles. You see Kyle Schwarber with his 6 RBIs on the day. That has him just 1 shy of tying his career high as a Chicago Cub. Back to Chicago. He had 7 with the Cubs July 2nd back in 2019 against the Brewers. 1 RBI shy of a career high. To have a day like today where you just are grinding out plays. It was a wild pitch because it actually robbed him of an RBI. A wild pitch where he almost got hit by the ball. Like, it hasn't been pretty. It's been mistakes. It's been challenges. It's been controversial. But I think that's what's made this a complete game that has that playoff atmosphere, because that's what you anticipate. When you get to the playoffs, when you get down the stretch, if the Phillies face the Dodgers in the NLCS, it's not going to be pretty games. It's going to be ugly baseball at times. It's going to be, questionable calls and controversial plays, and you hope you just fall on the right side of it. So I think that's actually what has me like the most encouraged, not even just the offense feeling like they're back. I know Vince is saying in the chat how comfortable he feels with the bullpen. The pitching's looking good, pitching all the way through from starters to bullpen. But it's the way they're grinding. This team has been a blue-collar grinding team that helped them in the first half of the season. They got away from that, and today feels like they're moving back. Honestly, the last couple games, not even just tonight, it feels like the Phillies are getting back to being that grinded out, whatever it takes to win team, not whatever it takes to lose.
Yeah, I think this series has been significantly sharper. And I know that and when I say sharp, I don't necessarily mean everything has to play 100%, fire on 100% in order for things to go right. But like, they looked lost in some of the series over this 6-game, 7-series stretch. Like the Yankees series it never particularly felt close. But even in Seattle, so the first night in Seattle was a bummer. Tyler Phillips doesn't pitch particularly well. But the second game against Seattle felt like a more competitive baseball game. They felt like they were getting back to the right track. They win on Sunday in Seattle. They have an opportunity now to take 2 out of 3 from a really good Dodgers team. But even in the loss, the other night, it felt like, certain things were starting to come back around. This feels like a much more complete game. Like, I can't harp on this enough. This feels like the baseball team, like, no matter how this game were to finish. Now, at this point, it would be a disaster if they lose this game. But like in the 5th, when it's 4-3 or 4-4 or even 6-4 at one point, like this felt
shut up.
like it was
Not
a
you, Tyler.
much bigger
Are you
game.
watching this?
No,
Is that Gavin Lux?
No, I'm doing a show.
Oh, well, I have this.
No, so the reason that he's all pissy is because
he goes, what the fuck
You guys know that I'm behind you by like.
You think he wants to hit him here in this spot? Like, shut up, dude.
Because Castellanos got hit the inning before and he was yapping, so I think there's a little bit of chippiness going on.
Good.
We like chippy. Make a
playoff atmosphere.
Stir the pot.
And that's kind of where I'm wrapping this thing up. But with what I was just talking about, this felt like a playoff game tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was a couple beats.
Wow,
live.
I'm just seeing the hit by. Oh my, I am like several pitches behind.
I hit you on the muscle. Relax. There was a couple beats, Tyler, that were tweeting out like this feels like a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing I do, and I know you guys brought him up a couple minutes ago. There is like a massive, tip of the cap to Nick Castellanos. Not just tonight, not just this
great.
week. But basically since the middle of June, but like we can even circle in on post All-Star break. He's been tremendous. Both doubles that he hit tonight, he squared up. The one that was hit to dead center field is probably a home run if he pulls it. Just really, really on top of things right now. And the numbers back it up too, right? Like his chase rate's down this year, and this is this year to last year. And you could even deep dive a little bit further, and I bet you find the numbers were even better when you think about like May till now. His chase rate's down, and despite the fact that his chase rate is down, his chase contact is up, which means even when he is kind of getting beat, flailing a little bit, he's still putting contact on the ball better than he was last year on those pitches, like especially the breaking ball down in a way that we talk about a lot. His first pitch swing rate is up. We know that he's kind of a free swinger. But the contact rate on those pitches is also up. His whiff rate is down. But to basically put it into perspective, he's done a really nice job of kind of centering himself a little bit further, understanding who he is as a hitter, not trying to get too deep into like the complexities of hitting, because that's not the type of hitter that he is. But at the same time, also understanding leverage and spots and where he's at, and knowing like, all right, they're gonna feed me a steady diet of breaking balls until I start to lay off of these pitches. Now that he's started to lay off of these pitches, he's getting more fastballs in the zone, and we know he's a good fastball hitter. He's driving a lot more. The doubles have gone up. Renee, you and I talked about it weeks ago. The extra base hit total, how it jumped up significantly. He's got another 2 tonight. Like, I understand people are going to see 240, 295 slash line, 699 and go, oh, it's an okay season. But to dig yourself out of a 198 hole and be up to 241, now probably closer to 242, 243, it's really been an impressive 2-month stretch for Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, it really has. And I want to continue talking about that playoff atmosphere in regards to the bullpen tonight. But they just showed Jimmy Rollins in the crowd. And I wonder, Jimmy had some really good seats at the stadium, famous Chavez Ravine. I wonder if Jimmy was smart and used the Game Time app. And if he was even smarter, we already know he's smart. He probably would have used code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. I've used the Game Time app out at Wrigley Field this summer. I've used it at Citizens Bank Park. I've used it for a comedy show, a concert. It's the best. And I strongly recommend you guys all use it too. Using that code PHLY for $20 off. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I told you about my trip just recently out to Chicago. It was awesome. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And Kyle Schwarber just hit another home run, a 3-home run night. So Jimmy Rollins, he uses the Game Time app. He gets the tickets. He gets a 3-home run game out of Kyle Schwarber on the road. Home for Jimmy. But take that guesswork out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Well, let me quickly tell you about our friends over at BetParx Casino before we recap the excitement of Kyle Schwarber's 3rd home run of the night, as that was a great shot straight to center field. And for BetParx Casino, it's perfect for that after work get together. You know, right now we're getting together at work late to hang, to watch the Phillies. If you want to get together with your friends, whether it's girls' night out, date night, watching some games, sipping on some delicious drinks, soaking up the warm weather, watching Kyle Schwarber hit 3 home runs to help get this Phillies team out of a slump and win their first series in nearly a month, Parx Casino is how you win. And the Phillies right now are ready to win. Parx Casino has some great deals for you this summer that you can take advantage of, offering an epic $5 happy hour with great food and drinks every Wednesday through Sunday at the Liberty Bell Gastropub. You've got $5 drafts, $5 glasses of Cabernet, $5 Twisted Tea frozen whiskey, Arnold Palmer's, plus some great drinks to eat on. You know, when you're enjoying some awesome baseball like this, that's worth the wait of staying up late. You want to also make sure you're enjoying it with some great food and drinks. Plus, Parx Casino has 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, and a collection of incredible award-winning restaurants to boot. Great events coming up like Tiffany Haddish, who will be performing there September 27th. You can check out those tickets for all shows, including Tiffany Haddish's show at parxcasino.com. Visit parxcasino.com. You've got to be 21 or older. If you've got a gambling problem, visit or call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parx Casino, this is how you win.
We'll get to the bullpen point in a second, but Kyle Schwarber.
We got to talk about what we just saw.
My God! Actually, that one was kind of weak because I just checked.
It was actually.
It's only a home run in 13 of 30 parks. So that guy sucks.
One, Jamie.
Yeah, he hit it 107.6 miles an hour, went 408 feet. He crushed another one, and the Dodgers continue to pitch to this man, which is quite dumb. Over his last 17 at-bats, Kyle Schwarber has 10 hits, 5 home runs, 2 doubles, and 10 RBIs.
August Schwarber, right? We've always said that. I mean, that's something I've always said. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's the saying, right?
Yeah.
It's not June Schwarber, it's August Schwarber. Everybody knows that.
That is
this man is on fire.
Game. This marks the second 3-home run game for Kyle Schwarber of his career. He had another one for the Nationals that was back against the Mets in June of 2021. And yes, he has now tied that career high of 7 RBIs with the Chicago Cubs. Maybe, just maybe, if there were more time, he could have passed it. But we don't need any more time. But for Kyle Schwarber, it's great to see. We talked about Nick Castellanos and Kyle leading this offense, you know, from the leadoff spot all the way through to have him literally picking up the team, getting RBIs, now getting a 3rd home run. And you said it, Jamie, that's only a home run in 13 ballparks. It's not pretty. It's effective. It's a home run in this ballpark. And Kyle Schwarber taking care of business today with some really needed, this is the vibe, the energy booster. It's not the playlist. It's not anything else. This is what gets this.
Why'd you bring Garrett Stubbs into this?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
Catching shrapnel on an off day. Jeez.
By the way, I think we need to start counting home run in blank of 29 ballparks if it's hit to left field, because you need a literal cannon to hit a home run at Camden Yards in left field.
That's true.
Maybe we just chop it down to 29 ballparks at this point.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're gonna go in there, it's gonna go 29 of 30. You go, okay, it's Camden Yards.
Yeah. His one earlier was 30 of 30.
Be like, it would be a home run at every stadium, but they played at the Polo Grounds, so
yeah,
out. Sorry, 500-foot fly out.
Tyler hit John Foley with the John, don't you dare tweet, sends one into the night. And as soon as you texted that, Tyler, I started seeing some tweets of Schwarber sends one into the night.
Yeah, because some dude on Twitter decided to get all bent out of shape about John tweeting that yesterday, and not like everyone.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't know there was a backstory to this.
That's where that came from. That was not
okay.
being a weirdo. Yeah, so some dude just decided he was going to go after John because John.
Somebody was mad online?
Yeah, well, perpetually mad.
Really? On the internet? That never happens.
That doesn't happen there. That's where people are happy and speak, factually and coherently.
Thank you to the Phillies for getting better as this series went on and making it worth 3 straight nights of 10-10 starts.
Yes.
Because this is absolutely worth staying awake for. It hasn't been easy this week for us to stay awake. Some of us have been struggling more than others. But
it seems like Renee, are you itching to confess a little something there?
I'm not confessing anything. No, okay. There's nothing to confess. What's happens between this group stays between this group.
Shame.
Nobody else needs to know it.
I've fallen asleep for a half inning of baseball before too, Renee.
We're here. Maybe some of us needed a quick nap. Who knows? But we made
I took a nap from 9 to 10. No lie. I got paged down and I was like, Addie, I have to take a nap before this.
And I actually took a nap at 5, and I don't nap, but I was like, I need to take a nap. But this game feels like it's been going on forever. It's 12:49 and we started at 10:10.
Yeah. So back to the playoff atmosphere thing I brought up. It looks like Junior Marte's coming in, so it kind of bucks the point I was about to make. But shout out to Frank Barber in the chat. I know he tweeted us saying he's trying to stay awake. Thank you, Frank. We appreciate you. Dev Miliano says, wow, for the Schwarber. And, of course, Vince was talking about how he's starting to feel real good about the bullpen and the way it can line up here for you. And it did kind of look like before this just got out of hand, I guess, kind of officially, kind of looked like Rob Thompson was deploying the bullpen tonight. And I was sitting there wondering if this is, given an average MLB lineup in terms of righty-leftiness, I wonder if this is his kind of dream scenario. So he went Kerkering, Alvarado, Strom. Now, I think that just shows you he trusts Strom a little bit more than Alvarado right now. And then Estevez, I assume, if this is a big game, is the guy closing it out there. So it kind of looked like he treated this one like, okay, wait, if we can take a Dodgers series here, this could really be a momentum swing for the team. So I think that's his kind of bullpen that he wants to trot out there. And it does feel pretty nasty.
Guys, July 11th was when the Phillies completed the sweep against the Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park. You had to take this series.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever. And they talked about how that was a series that the Phillies, I know it was Brendan Marsh and different guys were saying, even Johan Rojas was getting interviewed, talking about how they got up to play them and how they were locked in. It took the Dodgers to reset the ties. And of course, hopefully this continues.
Oh, and Hoffman, too, Vincent. Sorry.
Yes. It took this series to reset, and this is exactly what you needed. This road series, as we had talked about, the 10-game stretch, 11 days on the road with facing off against the Arizona Diamondbacks next, who have been playing very well. You're facing off against the Dodgers.
Yeah, they're hot.
This gives you some hope going into this next series because you didn't want them to go on an 11-day trip and just come back completely, disconnected, discouraged, and having gotten beat up and down the West Coast. But now you take this series, and most importantly also, you get the season series last night, so you took care of business there to now know if there's any chance of a tie, the tiebreaker comes down to the Phillies winning it and having the home advantage in the NLCS. These are the little things that even despite the slump, the Phillies are still taking care of the most important parts. You win this series, it drastically changes everything moving into the remainder of, honestly, the season. And now you're going to be getting back, and we'll get into the injury updates. Taijuan Walker's working back against the next, I guess Tuesday is the day now.
Tuesday,
and the turnbull's getting closer. You're getting, Ranger Suarez, you're getting guys back from injury. Of course, you just lost Austin Hayes, but we don't know how long that's going to be for. Whole other issue. So it does feel great to see. This is the series you had to kind of lock in. Go all in. Nobody expect them to win with how the Phillies have been playing lately. You dropped 14 of your last 18. People just expected that to continue against the Dodgers. So
and on that point, before Tyler hops in, right at the end of the Diamondbacks, Renee, you get I believe the Marlins and the Nationals back to back, and they have traded away everyone and waved the white flag. So you're right. Like this point, just momentum wise, if you can, if you can go 3-3 versus the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, and I presented that to each of you before these two series, you would have said, hell yeah, sign me up. And then you kind of have two slump busters waiting for you.
Well, but then you kind of get right back to this hellish landscape that's been this gauntlet that they have, because then you have Atlanta at home, you go to Kansas City, or maybe you have Kansas City at home. Either way.
They don't have a good player.
You go to Kansas City.
They don't have a single good player on that team.
They don't have an all-star that's been better since the all-star break.
They don't have an AL MVP.
500 since
we have a guy that's been better since the all-star break too. A few of them. Nick Castellanos is one.
You're not wrong, because you're going to need those guys, because after Kansas City, it's Houston, who started the season 4-90, and now they're all of a sudden going to be a playoff team. And then you've got the Braves again. So it's like this continued stretch of difficult games. They get a little bit of a reprieve with those 5 games, like you guys mentioned. But stop me if you've heard this one before. Baseball is a beautifully stupid sport. Now, listen, I'm going to preface this by saying there were some good teams in there. The Pirates are playing really good baseball right now. The Twins are a good team. The Twins are a good team. The Yankees are a good team. The Guardians are a good team. However,
the A's are even playing really well lately. The A's have been beating everybody.
And so basically, you go 7 straight series without a series win, and you sandwich that with a 5-1 record against the team that everybody expected to be the juggernaut of baseball. It was a weird game. It's a really, really weird game.
And what makes it more weird is you have Nick Castellanos, and I just want to go back to him because I know Frank was mentioning in the chat earlier, and Nick Price, yes, we are back. You have someone like Nick Castellanos who started off the season in a slump himself. That was the main piece we were consistently talking about as a struggle, because in the month of April, he had a 1.83, 241, 260 split, which is the .501 OPS, and he's been your best guy. I know Corey Seidemann posted on Twitter coming into today that Nick has hit 283 with an 822 OPS since May 28th. And that's a stretch that's more than half his plate appearances of the season. He's been getting better as the season goes on. And that's why, even though you may have missed half the games because your power went out, Ryan, we get these great moments that we get to see of Kyle Schwarber's third home run and everything else going on, because slowly they've been like pulling themselves out, and it started with Nick. Now slowly I will hope that this game ends though, because as you guys are all watching with Marte.
Come on, Junior. Like, what the hell, man? I don't need to see Estevez up with a 5-run lead. Like, this is not a situation you want to use them. Like, come on, Junior. Get a fucking double play here or something, man.
Renee, as you were bringing up with Castellanos' OPS specifically, when this game's over, because my genuine hope, I'm not even going to say my assumption, my genuine hope at this point is that Castellanos doesn't have another at bat tonight. He's going to clear a 700 OPS. And when you were talking about, what was it at the end of April, like 400 or something like that? It was 5.
Yeah, it was a 5. He had a 5 something.
Yeah, I don't think he dropped below 5.
I want to say
501.
I want to say it was 580, maybe at the end of May. So for a guy basically to bring his OPS up 120 points over the course of what's now been 2 months, I mean, this has been an absolute success. And we've talked about the peaks and valleys of Nick Castellanos. We understand that you're going to live by the sword and die by the sword with a player of his ilk.
All right, got one.
But right now, it's been an absolute success. Over the last month and a half, Nick Castellanos has been one of your, if not one of your best hitter. It's been really impressive.
It has.
Consistent. He's been the most definitely consistent, but also just he's felt like he's the most checked in, where a lot of guys have felt checked out at times, which is ironic because Nick is a guy that's like wonky and he's Scooby-Doo and all types of things, but he seemed the most locked in consistently. And I think now we're finally getting others that are like coming to the other side of the track. Trey Turner's one though, on the other side of things that, dang, Trey. He just has some frustrating moments, but there's more guys slowly crawling to the positive side.
Well, and the one last thing on Castellanos is he plays every day.
Nice.
Legitimately every day. So for an everyday player, and granted, these guys are all, mostly everyday players, but for a truly everyday player to be able to raise your numbers that significantly over a 2-month stretch is really, really impressive, because you're going to have stretches, even if you weren't a Castellanos peaks and valley type of player, you're going to have stretches where you go 1 for 22, right? We've seen Trey Turner do it. We've seen Bryce Harper do it. These things happen. We saw Kyle Schwarber do it, out of, into the All-Star break, out of the All-Star break. Slumps happen. So for a guy to be able to consistently raise an OPS specifically, and when we keep talking about OPS, to me, the big thing with Castellanos is the doubles. With Bohm and with Castellanos, the doubles are so significant because those are their massive OPS drivers. They're their RBI drivers too. I know the two aren't, equitable, but like those two things, those two guys, the doubles are significant. Castellanos has done a really good job as a legitimate everyday player of really locking in over the last, 45 to 60 days.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani just popped up while you guys were talking, and 2 outs. Hopefully Junior gets out of this no problem and can let Carlos Estevez chill and just throw a couple pitches there as he warmed up for a minute.
They did a really nice job with Ohtani the last 2 nights.
They've done a good job with him, I feel like, in the entire season series. I know Benjamin in the chat's asking what are the odds that Ohtani goes 0 for 5. But when you really think about it, like Matt Strom last night, we've been seeing the Phillies do a good job in how they're pitching to Ohtani and handling him. I mean, he's Ohtani. He's gonna score. He's gonna make, he's gonna hit home runs. But they've been kind of lessening the damage.
Sucks. They figured him out.
Yeah.
Sucks. They got the blueprint out for the rest of the league. Just do what the Phillies do. They figured him out. This guy sucks. He's overrated.
There's a Shohei that is a Japanese wrestler that's in the Olympics right now.
There we go. There we go. Phillies win 9-4. I don't have to be irritated that Carlos Estevez had to come in and close that out. Junior Marte gets it done. Never a doubt about it. So the Phillies take back-to-back wins in their first series win since Renee said earlier, July 11th versus the Dodgers. Man, that feels good. Diamondbacks are next on the deck. I will be joining our brethren out in the PHNX show tomorrow. Another Phillies After Dark for us tomorrow night as that series gets underway, and that's going to be a tough one, as we alluded to. But as NBC's flashing it on the screen right now, player of the game, story of the game, Kyle Schwarber, 4 for 4, 3 home runs, a double, a walk, 7 RBIs, ties his career high, his first career 4 for 4 game. Amazing.
Did you just see the guy that's jacked in the overalls that looks like
I did, yeah.
From Romana?
Yeah. He was a big man.
Shirtless in the overalls. Yeah, I love this, guys. The series skid of winless series is over. It was 6 straight. The Phillies are back. Yes.
It does feel like they needed to, like, this is a turning point. Like that feels real. That when you go into Chavez Ravine and Renee, you brought up the points about Christopher Sanchez on the road. For him to go out and get that win versus this team, for them to bounce back on Schwarber's back tonight, and Tyler Phillips grinding one out for you, this feels like a momentum shift for the Phillies. So let's hope it is.
And to add good news, the Braves lose again tonight. The division lead is back up to 7.
That's amazing. The Braves just kept losing on nights where we would lose. They just couldn't take advantage like they should have been able to. And it does feel like their chance, or the Mets, their chance at a division was kind of blown over these last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, the Mets did win. I know it was a close game, I thought. But either way, the Braves lost.
Yeah, the Braves lost. Screw them. They're the real enemy. Mets are more like comically just a bad.
And to Frank's point, like the Mets have started. They were trending and closing the gap. They had closed were close on the heels of the Braves, and they're still on the heels of the Braves, but they've fizzled out a little bit more. But either way, The Phillies.
And Frank Barber just said it.
Not.
He said Chase Field is usually a house of horrors for the Phillies. Hope they can change that. Yeah, that'd be nice.
The good news is all of the bullpen arms that struggled at Chase Field over the last 2 years no longer pitch on this team.
Great spin zone, Tyler.
Whether it be Craig Kimbrell, we can go all the way back to Corey Knebel. I don't know if you guys remember that West Coast trip. That was abysmal a couple of years ago.
You went Corey Knebel on us.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about some just massively bad bullpen performances. If you want to go spin zone, I'm not Mr. Optimistic all the time, but that's at least that gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah. And the Phillies hopefully have turned a corner here. And if you, let's say you're a company or you're an employee that's hoping to turn a corner and find that right employee or find the right job, then you gotta use Indeed. I've used Indeed on the job searching side many times in my life, but if you're on the job hiring side, then Indeed is a total no-brainer. They're driven by the search for better. So when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, just match, and match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with your candidates faster. They leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, and Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. So join the 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and show your support by saying you heard about us right here at PHLY. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? You need Indeed.
Well, as we had a chance to watch the final scenes of the game as the Phillies broke their winless series streak, we also got to see the guy with the muscles out, shirtless in his overalls that are brought to you by FOCO, a seamless advertisement for FOCO as the leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise. They've got a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, different novelty items, and much more. They also do a great job, what I enjoy, of dropping very timely trending pieces. So whether it's around a holiday or something festive, FOCO's always dropping deals and new merchandise to fit whatever's going on in the sports world. And you can check out their officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms, whether you're going to LA to cheer on the Phillies and cheer them on to get their first series win, or you're going to watch another game with football season, basketball season coming up, hockey season, whatever sport you're looking to check out. They've got hoodies, jackets, beachwear, overalls. We've got the shorts overalls, the pants overalls. I'm excited to get to Citizens Bank Park in my shorts overalls very, very soon, next week actually. And they've got something for every fan for almost every occasion. FOCO has hooked us up with some great gear we've been able to try out ourselves. I love it. The quality, the style, the flair, the fun, and they always have our back for Philly sports, and they also have yours too. So get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the code PHLY10, which gets you 10% off. Again, that's code PHLY10, gets you 10% off when you shop at FOCO.
Welcome in Joe R. and Steer & Co. and Elephant in the Room. You people are all truly sickos being up at 1:10 in the morning with us, and we appreciate you being for Philly psychopaths. All right, we didn't talk about it in the game as we were closing out there, and it took a little longer than I would have guessed getting on in the beginning of the 8th inning there. The play of the game that kind of changed everything, aside from Kyle Schwarber's Superman performance tonight, that play at third base where Alec Boehm extends his hitting streak, reaches 40 doubles on the year, just a tremendously sound, disciplined hitter that really hasn't hit skids for long periods of time at all at any point this season. Does a great job getting the leadoff double. They call in the small ball bunt, and Kiki Hernandez sprints down the line, kind of bobbles it in his glove, and if he doesn't bobble it, it's probably a clean, easy out at third. But he bobbles it, and the play happens. What's the ump's name? I'm blanking. Wendelstead or what the hell is his name? Yeah. Calls, and Tom and Ruben talked about it for a while. It is up to his interpretation. It's kind of a open-ended rule where the umpire's decision is it. Like, you're not supposed to argue it, and that's why Dave Roberts got tossed. But it was a call that kind of changed the momentum of the game as Joe Kelly spikes one in the dirt. A wild run gets home, and the Phillies just kind of sprinted away. Horrible call, but I feel like we were owed one. So thank you, Major League Baseball.
Yeah, honestly, I
think it was bad. It was bad.
I think the biggest thing that we've talked about here on the show, and I know, Ryan, you're mentioning how you just found us on Spotify. I want to give you a shout out really quickly. Welcome to you, Ryan. Glad you found us on Spotify. Saw we were live, joined. We've got shows every day. We're 5 days a week. We're giving you post-game shows and pre-game shows and watch parties and much more. But the biggest thing that one of the consistent things we talked about, I won't say biggest, consistent things we talk about on our show is the officiating. The umpires have been so inconsistent all over the place, made some really wacky calls, and it's usually been game-changing calls that impact the Phillies. Now, the Phillies have absolutely been just bad. I'm not blaming it on the umps, but when you look back at some of the losses that they've had in just the recent games, even since the All-Star break, there's been some pivotal moments that a clear missed strike or, a missed call in general does change things. It's keeping the inning going. Maybe it's getting, putting a guy on base. It then leads to a run being scored. And today, to see the calls that were in favor of the Phillies, we haven't seen this. This is why I feel like the Phillies are back, because the luck is shifting. The tides are turning. The tables are turning in that sense. And the Phillies are now getting the correct side of some of these calls. And that's what happens when you're playing good, grinded out baseball. Things start to work your way. But that play there, that's a major one. We will take it. But good Lord. Yeah, we'll take that gift. That was a nice gift on a platter for us. Like, here you go. Get out of your slump. But all the overturned calls that we saw, I was actually like, oh, we're just not used to getting those calls. It just hasn't been happening.
Yeah, Joe R. said the 3 overturned calls was huge. They reviewed the Freddie Freeman one at first base. Nick Castellanos was actually safe earlier in the game on the Jason Hayward throw out. The other review was, what am I blanking on?
Well, it was Freddie, Nick, and then we had the Alec call.
Yes, the Alec one. So now, Rob Thompson.
I actually thought he was safe because just how well he's been playing. Like, I hate to say that, but he's been playing so well that I was like, nah, Nick's safe.
Yeah, Nick's been great at the plate. Sometimes he needs to understand he runs like he has a piano on his back. But yeah, I mean, it was another great piece of hitting by Nick. But Rob Thompson, a maestro tonight with the reviews. He was damn near perfect.
He was.
And by the way, the Rob Thompson narrative that's kind of like taken off that he needs to be fired. What? Come on. We're gonna start doing standing O's next too? Like, come on, what are we doing here? We don't need to.
It's a poor stretch now. So like
but come on, like, what's he gonna do? A new manager is gonna make these guys hit?
No, ridiculous. There was one call over this, and I'm sure there may have been more. Like, there may have been some poor decisions on his part. There was one definitive call that I looked at when it happened and went, this is dumb. You're going to cost your team the game when this happens. And it was the day game against the Yankees. And I believe they were down. I want to say they were down maybe 4-2 or 5-2 at the time. They were losing, but it was a manageable deficit. And for whatever reason, he felt that he wanted to go to Jose Ruiz in that situation. And Ruiz gave up a couple of runs. The Phillies ended up scoring a couple of runs and making it a closer game. But I think that right there was a definitively bad decision by Rob Thompson that may have ended up costing the Phillies a game against the Yankees. If you're going to tell me over the course of a 7-series losing streak that Rob Thompson made one definitively awful decision that cost you one game, I'm not so sure I'm going to sit here and gripe about a manager asking is his seat warm all of a sudden when you are still the best team or one of the best teams in baseball record wise. And now you're out of a slump. At least it feels like you're out of a slump where you kind of sandwich a 5-1, 2 series against the Dodgers in between those 7 series. But listen, were there more than what that one was? There probably was. If we're sitting here saying I can't definitively think about them at right at this juncture,
there was one I was irritated by, but there wasn't. There wasn't many.
I think there might have been one in the Twin series, if I remember correctly. I don't 100% remember.
I was real cranky after one game. I forget what it was about.
Like the point being is, like you said, Jamie, a managerial change. I don't think is at this point would have like any kind of kick in the pants that it did. Like the Joe Girardi firing Rob Thompson ascension was a kick in the pants that they needed. This team has been to a World Series, was a game from a World Series, and prior to this 7-game skid was the best team in baseball record-wise. I don't know where this narrative came from other than it's Philadelphia Phillies fans and Philadelphia sports fans looking for something to complain about. But that's what this feels like. It's an overreaction to a skid.
Well,
so
I will say, can I?
I'll explain what I just took a picture of.
I'm very curious of what you did, but I do want to say.
Any guesses?
Prior to the game, who are you taking? I don't know what you're taking a picture of.
My guess is you should probably cover the back of that phone up.
Yeah, with your card. Prior to the game,
you can't see anything. It's orange.
Prior to the game, Rob Thompson was speaking about how there are so many people that just expect him in the losing streak to just be this fiery guy and calling team meetings and benching guys and making all these rash decisions and everything. He's like, he's just not that guy. That's not him. And I know we've all had our moments where we've questioned Rob Thompson or didn't agree with him. And that's natural because you look on the reverse side, there have been times we've questioned him and he's made genius moves, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season. And that's why he's had such a quick ascension to success in his tenure with the Phillies, of the World Series, of the NLCS, of just the amount of wins that he's had and been one of the most successful Phillies managers. So to have a skid of 19 games, they lose 14 of them and say, you want Rob Thompson fired because of it is just ridiculous. It's just, in my opinion, people are looking for a reason, a scapegoat, a reason to blame the losses on something. And the reality is Rob said it, we've said it, everybody said it, the guys said it. They just were not hitting. I know even Dave Dombrowski was talking about it in a piece I was reading by Todd Zalecki, how Dave was mentioning, listen, right now, it's just like it's a unfortunate timing of everything going wrong. The hitting, the pitching, things are just falling apart. That's not on the manager's not going out there messing up at the plate, being undisciplined at the plate, missing on pitches. They know what they need to do. This is a talented group. This is not you trying to create something that's not there. They know what they need to do, and they were able to do it tonight, which is why they won the game. And hopefully they can continue to get back to that. But I do think it's just people grasping for straws of people to point the finger at. Rob Thompson's an easy scapegoat. He's got a whole staff of people that's making decisions. I even didn't agree with something like JT sitting out game 1 and Garrett Stubbs playing. Okay, there's a whole staff there that made that decision. It's not just on Rob. But I do hope that we can stop at some point with these like irrational decisions of they lose a game, fire everybody, because it's just unnecessary.
So the thing I was taking a picture of that I went like this to take a picture of, I was taking a picture of the NBC Sports Philadelphia post-game show. They threw a stat up. Phillies with 3 home runs in one game since 1990. You want to throw out a... Yeah, there are. Kyle Schwarber became the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Since 1990?
Yes. The 8th Philly since 1990 to have a 3 home run game. So, throw out some guesses here.
So Harper did it this year.
Harper's one.
He did it against Cincinnati this year.
I think there's 3 that you probably have no shot on.
Jason Worth did it against the Blue Jays.
Jason Worth did it.
My assumption at some point over that stretch, Ryan Howard did it.
Absolutely.
You said we have no shot on?
I mean, I'd be impressed if you get these next 4.
Are
Do we have
they
a time
because they're
frame?
surprising names or because they're
21.
forgettable?
One was 2002, one was 2021, one was 97, and one was 96.
2021, was that Bamboo Brad Miller?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bamboo
Yeah.
Brad.
What a time.
And then what were the other ones?
2002, 97, and 96.
2002.
I don't know.
Would it have been like a
He's
Travis?
on the Wall of Fame.
Oh, he is. Scott Rowland?
No.
Did Rollins do it?
No.
Okay. On the Wall of Fame.
Was it Scott?
Oh, Bobby Abreu.
Not Abreu.
Really? 2002 on the Wall of Fame. We said Rowland, right?
He was old. He was old. Yeah, you said Roland. He was old in 2002 at that point.
Old in 2002.
I think, right? Yeah, well, on the back end.
Lieberthal.
Yeah, Lieby did it. Now these next two, I think you got no shot here.
What were the years? 97 and when?
97 and 96.
Elephant in the room said Jim Thome.
Not Thome.
Oh, that's a good guess, though.
Like, are they just random players, or are they just not like guys you'd roll off the top of the tongue?
Just not like one was a very good career player, short stint in Philly, didn't get him for long, back end of the career type.
Is it a guy you really like?
My brain's not working.
Not really. I like the name.
Because I was going to ask you, is it Benito Santiago?
Yes, it's a great baseball name.
Wow.
Benito Santiago. And Jim Moss in the chat just got the last one. Elephant in the room guessed Ron Gant.
Estalella?
Bobby Estalella in 97 had a 3-home run game. Wow. Elephant in the room, Ron Gant. That's a great guess.
Great poll.
Benito Santiago is one of the all-time baseball names.
I was going to say, I knew you liked Benito Santiago.
I love that name.
Let's just give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Michael Rambo, you're saying this is your second live YouTube show you've been on. This is Tom's World is the first. Chris Meister, Jim Moss, Elephant in the Room, Frank Barber coming in with the guesses too.
Hey, by the way, Benito Santiago, maybe the elite throw guy out for me type of guy. Like
cannon.
Just an absolute weapon behind the plate.
All right, let's run through a couple of my game notes here and just make sure we didn't miss anything. Quick shout out to Johan Rojas tonight. That play with 2 outs, tracking to left center, was a play that very few people make in baseball. And then the next half inning works a really good single, and then his speed gets home on a Schwarber double. Johan Rojas had a tremendous inning there, walked a really nice walk later to load the bases. Overall, just a really nice night for Johan. So I wanted to give him a little shout out there.
Yeah, he needs some love. Yo, Ro. We haven't had to talk about him recently because with Austin Hayes' addition to the team.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot more of him.
Yeah, Braden Marsh sliding center field. You haven't seen him, but we'll see him a little bit more. We don't know how much more, depending on Austin Hayes' timeline. It was great to see. I think this is what you want from him. This is a role that makes sense, that he is that guy that can, maybe not be an everyday center fielder, but when needed, when called upon, whether it's for, late in the game, pinch hitting, or just a matchup, whatever it is, that he can come in and make plays. Now, defensively, this is also what we've known from him. He's got the speed. He reads the ball well. I look at that play, like that Brandon Marsh missed in the start of the game at center field, and you wonder, like, could Yoro have gotten that?
No.
It's just
I think he does.
Yeah,
I don't think Marsh gets to the one that Rojas caught. Yeah.
Right. And so there are so many positives to what he brings defensively. And then it's great to see that in those limited amount of at-bats, he was able to give you something, help you score runs, help keep the inning alive.
And his speed on the pass. I think it was Corey Seidman said he has the 3rd fastest sprint time in Major League Baseball this year. I mean, that speed when it gets on the pass is a huge advantage.
Yeah, I think we're not saying it. I'm not breaking any news here. This isn't revolutionary. Defensively, they are at their best with Brandon Marsh in left field.
Calm down, Tyler. That's a hot take.
Crazy.
1 o'clock in the morning. Chill out.
And we've talked about this before. Brandon Marsh is a fine defensive center fielder. He's not elite defensively
just
anywhere, but he is a good defensive center fielder. He's probably average to good defensive center fielder. He is good to great left fielder. When you pair that with Johan Rojas defensively in center, it's a clear, definitive answer that that's your best left center pairing defensively. If you're getting anything offensively from Johan Rojas, especially under the pretense that the rest of your offense, your nearly $1 billion offense is performing, I think that you can live with this in the short term, until you figure out what the issue with Austin Hayes is. And in the long term, maybe you can move to the platoon that we expected.
I was just gonna say
platoon.
I think Hayes just lost his everyday left fielding job, and he's going to be a platoon piece now because of injury. It does feel like that's probably going to happen.
Things work out the way they're, in a very wonky way. And he's had a chance to be an everyday left fielder. And at the very least, they're going to want to manage him anyways. And that's going to allow more opportunities for Yoro and Brandon Marsh. And I think in terms of injury updates, though, just to go clarify.
Rob was talking at the desk, but I couldn't hear what he said.
Yeah. So as we know, we're waiting on more for Austin Hayes with that left hamstring tightness. They are going to be evaluating him. Spencer Turnbull, who is now 6 weeks out from his lat strain, is expected to get back on a mound this week. He's been working out in Clearwater. And so Rob is saying he's getting back. And they're going to try to bring him back as a reliever, ideally. There's just not enough time to stretch him out to be back as a starter. But he is looking to still be kind of on that timeline of late this month. Taijuan Walker's rehab start at Lehigh Valley that was scheduled for yesterday got rained out, so he's not going to be available to pitch this weekend in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks, but he was able to make a good start. They were able to get him in with AA Reading today because, of course, it's been pouring here in the Philly area, so that game was rained out, but he went and played in Akron with the Rubber Duckies?
Rubber Ducks.
Rubber Ducks with AA Reading, and he allowed 1 run over 5 innings. But most importantly, in that second rehab start, in his 60 pitches, they said the velocity is up to 93 miles per hour. He has been looking like his average fastball, which was down, has been looking like it's been back up in terms of velo. And so he's getting back to being what you want in terms of numbers for Taijuan Walker. So his anticipated return is on Tuesday, home against the Marlins. And then we're still waiting on our sweet, adorable Ranger, of course, because he's also scheduled to be coming back hopefully this weekend. So it's great to see, as we're talking about losing Austin Hayes, unfortunately, again, don't know the timeline, that the Phillies should be able to get back their pitching staff in order, which with Tyler Phillips, how he battled today, if you can get Ranger back, you get Taijuan back, this leads you to some great options for that 6-man rotation, or even just to have a healthier pitching staff. That we don't need to have Tyler Phillips and Colby Allard back to back anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's 1:30 in the morning. I have some children that are going to wake me up in about 5 hours, so I'm gonna shut it down. But we are on the verge of another big series here with the Diamondbacks. The way this is shaping up, we have to go through the darkness before the light, as Colby Allard will be on the mound tomorrow night versus Jordan Montgomery. Zach Wheeler versus Ryan on Friday night. Luckily, back to 9:40 starts. None of this illegal 10-10 crap.
Did the pitcher that's starting for Arizona that game go to the void? Did you just send him to the shadow realm? You just cut out at the worst time. It was like Zach Wheeler.
Oh, really? Weird.
It was like
yeah, well, and then Aaron Nola, Zach Gallen on Saturday, which is a great one. And then Christopher Sanchez has the opportunity to make it 2 good road performances in a row on Sunday. So the Coward 4-game series up with the Diamondbacks next. Phillies take 1 in Chavez Ravine tonight. Great win, Kyle Schwarber. Thank you, sir, for doing that and getting the Phillies a series win. Tyler Phillips, kudos to grinding it out there. And that's going to do it for us here on the PHLY Phillies show. Yeah, right. We'll be back tomorrow night for another late night game. To everybody that joined us and hung out with us, we really appreciate your time, especially at 1:27 in the morning. But for Renee, Tyler, myself, go Phils. We'll be back tomorrow night here on Phillies After Dark on the PHLY Phillies podcast.
Bye.